Hello there, I'm Jimmy Vegas and this is how to create a Wolfenstein 3D FPS clone in Unity, and welcome to episode 3. So this tutorial we're going to take a little more look at a level design. We'll bring in some more textures to create some more of this level, and we'll also look at bringing in our first person controller. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the little bell icon as well to stay up to date with the rest of this series and everything else that I have on my channel. And with that in mind, let's get designing. So firstly, I'm going to do something we did in the last tutorial. I'm going to bring in some more textures for us to work around with. So I'm going to bring in these two door textures. And as always, you can get them on the website. Head over there, downloads and assets, Wolfenstein 3D FPS clone, and under episode 3. So what are we going to do with these ones? Well, these ones are going to be done a little bit differently rather than these big blocks here. So we're actually going to use them to represent a doorway, as you would expect within the Wolfenstein game. So I'm going to take this block right here, hold Control, press D, move it this way. Now its size is set by 5 by 5 by 5. Now I generally like to work in twos or multiples of twos just because I feel it's a little bit easier in the long run, again, especially in this style of game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to 6 by 6 by 6. And I'm going to do the same with this, 6 by 6 by 6, and the same with this, 6 by 6 by 6, and 6 by 6 by 6. So why have I done this? Well, the idea is that 3 is going to be my minimum number that I will have for size of an object like this. And obviously 6 is the standard size, so that means 12 would be the normal size. As I said, working in twos means that the 3 is going to be a whole number. If we'd have stayed at 5, this would have been 2.5. And when you start dealing with decimals in this style of creation, it can get a little bit confusing. So what you need to do is just reassess the level design, bring them back together where they align quite nicely, like so. So that one needs to come back a bit. So let's bring this floor. In fact, let's take this back one on the Z. Same with this one. And I think we can probably bring them this way. So let's bring both of these. We've got two objects selected together there because I've just held Control down, select the two, and now we can move both together. So let's realign the blue ones. Remember, I'm still holding Control because I'm snapping these into place. It's much easier to do. So what do we do with this one? Right, let's set this to 6 by 6 by 6 and then look at actually shrinking the size on the X. So let's have this set as 3. Now initially this is going to look a little bit crazy, but this is where the fun happens. Let's drag this door 001 texture onto here. And hopefully you guys can already see what this is turning out to be. It's going to pull these ones out of the floor. I think they've gone in the floor there. So this now aligns nicely with the wall, like so. And we're going to have a door, which is going to be 6 by 6 by 6, but we're not going to create the door. What we're going to do is we're going to make an artificial door using this block. So hold Control, press D, bring it to there. Take this one, duplicate, bring it to there, and then we can delete this. Now this gives us plenty of space for where our door is going to be. So it's probably wise to rename these to wall 002. And that's going to be 002 and in brackets 1. So already you can see what's happening here. We're creating this doorway and we're going to use this texture to do so. So we're going to manipulate the objects once again. So hold Control, press D on this wall because I think it's good to have this one as the base. This time we're going to change the size of it on the X and we're going to change it to 1. So it ends up relatively thin. And if we move it here, hopefully you guys have seen it, drag and drop onto there. And we can see our door is starting to take shape. So it's up to you whether you want to have it this way or that way. If you want to change it, you can change that to 180 and have it slide this way. Or you could have it as it originally is and have it slide this way. I'm going to have it slide to the left. So I'm going to make sure my rotation is 180 there. So next thing, let's quickly do something we did last tutorial. So we're going to zoom through this one. Let's create those normal maps. So hold Control, press D, recreate normal maps. That's 001 underscore N. This one is number 2 underscore N. So let's do both those together. texture type, change to normal map, and we'll create from grayscale and click apply. And quickly on there, drag and drop normal map onto there, and it'll change both of them. And it's up to you what you want to do now. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to mess around anymore with how it looks. That is now up to you to work with how it looks to get your game working just fine. So what do we want to do now? Well, we want to actually play this level, don't we? We want to have a look around in it. So let's expand the floor a little more. Bring it to there. And let's, in fact, I think it's probably a good idea to rename this to Door 001 as well. Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit, not confusing, but different depending on what version of Unity you are using. You may have noticed since the last tutorial, I've changed from Unity 2018.1 to Unity 2018.2. Now, this is a key release number, I could call it, as this is the first release that does not include something called standard assets. So if you're using a version earlier than Unity 2018.2, you would be able to right-click, go to Import Package, and here you would have either standard assets or characters. So you would click that. If, like me, you do not have it, you just have custom package, what you'll need to do is go to the asset store. And you can get there by going Window and going down to Asset. It's not Asset Management, is it? I don't think it is. Either way, you can just click hold Control, press number 9, and it will take you to the asset store. I think this window's changed a little. It has changed in Unity 2018.2. Nice. Okay, so either way, what you need to do in the asset store, remember, hold Control, press number 9. Here, you can type standard assets and hit return. And then click on free only, because we always do things free on this channel. And you'll be presented, when it loads, with the standard assets by Unity Technologies right there. Now, I will explain the standard assets. This is something introduced in, or rather this version introduced in Unity 5 many years ago, and they've kept it through Unity 5, Unity 2017 and Unity 2018. However, it is now no longer included because Unity intend to build new assets for you to use. However, at the time of recording this video, there's no information on it. They've removed the assets from the package, but not replaced them. So we still have to get them from the asset store at this point. If you're watching this in the distant future, when things are different, then I apologize. So all you need to do is click import or download or whatever this says. Make sure you are logged in. So I've already gone ahead and downloaded the standard assets right here. So when you have it, you just need to go to characters and then go to first person, prefabs, and then we have two here. One is the FPS controller and the other is rigid body FPS controller. We're going to go with this one that does not have the words rigid body, and this is the standard first person controller. Now, the standard assets are here for you to use and for you to learn with. So we can just drag and drop this into our scene. It may intersect with the floor like it has done here, and we can tell it's intersected with the floor because this green surrounding area is what is known as a collider. And this is now colliding with this object. So what we need to do is pull it out of the ground until the green no longer collides with the floor. So now, the great thing about this is we could actually press play and we can now walk around in our level. And already we can see what kind of an impact this is having on our game. Our character looks a little bit low, so we can change the camera. Alternatively, we could increase the size of our first-person controller, so we could have it 2 by 2 by 2. Once again, pulling it out of the ground to there and pressing play. So this looks a little bit more logical now. Alternatively, what you could have done is decrease the size of the level itself. So i.e. we have this set as 6 currently. I guess you could set it to 4. So just to give you different options, as I always like to do. But if you guys are new, then I always like to provide different options and different ways of doing things on this channel. If you've already seen me before, you guys already know that. So hold Control and press P, and that comes out of play mode. Also goes in play mode if you are here in scene view. So to reiterate, I'm going to undo, so hold Control, press Z, and it will undo the size. So change the scale back to 1. And now what I'm going to do is select each of these wall objects and change the scale to 4 by 4 by 4. And it will decrease them. Same again with this one. this wall 002. Let's change the scale to, well, it's going to be half of that. So this is going to be 2 by 4 by 2. And the same with the door. This is going to be 4 by 4. And already it looks a little crazy because it's, well, it is crazy, I guess. But one thing we do need to do is change the size of these. I think the Z needs to be 4 as well. There we go. So now you have a load of blocks, and this is where your level design can come in nicely. So just rearrange. If you want to do the whole increasing the FPS controller size, that is entirely up to you. Like I say, it's different ways of doing everything. So let's realign. Build this to here. Realign. I'm not going to waste too much time doing this. Just do it nice and quickly. And you'll see eventually when we actually have everything realigned that the controller fits nicely in the level. So let's put this here to there, and finally this wall down. Make sure it aligns. So you see the speed at which I'm doing things now. This is something that comes with experience when using Unity. You just have the instinct of knowing when you can switch around, play around, use the arrows, move around. It comes naturally. So I'm going to save that scene now. Hold Control, press S, and I'm going to press play. So you can see now this looks a bit more, not specifically accurate, but it looks more relative to the game. And now designing a level can be as easy as quite literally taking this block, hold Control, press D, move it here, and again. And now let's bring this here, and one more. So already we've just created this corner here just within a couple of seconds. Once you get yourself going and understand how Unity can work, it really is amazing how well you can deal with this knowledge. So what we'll do now is let's create the ceiling. And quite frankly, it's basically the same as the floor. What you have to remember here is this style of game, because it's not going to be memory intensive, you could have thousands of objects on the screen and you wouldn't have to worry about anything at all, because most computers these days can handle, you know, quite a lot of power. So I would never worry too much about having too many objects on the scene. There are little ways of getting around it if we need to, and like I say, if we do need to, we will come to that. But generally, we're going to build a small level to begin with and then build from there. But we're going to cheat a little bit. We're going to take floor 001. So we'll take this one here, hold Control, press D, and let's bring it up to match the wall right there. And let's rename this to ceiling 001. And what I'm going to show you at this point is if I duplicate and bring to here, and once again bring to here, and remember what I did before, I had a couple of objects selected, so we can select all 3 of those objects to get ourselves into position, and then we can hold Control, press D, and it will duplicate all 3 and move all 3 at the same time. Now, if we press play now, although this ceiling is technically the same object as our floor, it will look a little bit different. You can see down on the bottom it is a different shade than the one at the top. This is due to lighting. So let's have a look at our light before we end this tutorial. The one we have at the moment is a directional light. A directional light means it's going to shine one way, the whole time. So it illuminates the whole scene. If we select it and change the type up here to point, it will illuminate this particular section of the game and not the entire scene. So if we were to go to window and go to, in fact, I don't think there's any point at the moment, is there? We'll deal with scale boxes later on, but this whole thing up here, this is the skybox. So we don't need to worry about that at all just for now. We'll just take a look at this light. We can increase the range and you'll see just how much it increases all the way over here. Intensity as well, but you don't want a crazy high intensity because it just looks silly. So that's worth playing around with. We'll keep the range at about 40. I'm going to zero out the rotation. We'll notice it doesn't actually change too much. But let's have this light somewhere here, because we'll end up bringing in a light to hang from the ceiling at some point up here anyway. Again, that's something we'll just develop as we go along. So now we can see everything is coming together quite nicely. One thing, this does look a little bit distorted here. So what we'll do is let's rotate this by 90 degrees. And in fact, 180, does it not match? It doesn't match. So let's work with this a little more. So we need to get this to match this right here. So we need to play around with the rotation one by one to get it to match. And we can see right there, you rotate and it'll eventually match. Same with this one. To get this one to match, it's a case of going 180, and there we go. It matches. So because we are using those seamless textures, like I said last time, that is where it comes in handy, because you can just do that with it each and every time. So next tutorial, what we'll take a look at is we'll look at some C# scripting. So we're going to get this door to move when we come close to it. So we'll also be looking at triggers as well, because they are extremely handy. And don't worry about coding. If you've never done coding before, I will guide you through the whole way. So guys, until that next tutorial, thank you very much for watching.